Have you ever wondered how two countries, starting from roughly the same point, can end up on such wildly different paths? Let's travel back to the 1960s. Two nations, Nigeria and Singapore, both former British colonies, both gaining their independence, both brimming with potential. At that time, Nigeria, the giant of Africa, with its vast oil reserves and huge population, seemed destined for greatness. Singapore, a tiny island with no natural resources, not even enough fresh water, was seen as a fragile state with a precarious future. Fast forward to today, and the story is almost reversed. How did this happen? What choices were made? Let's dive into the incredible parallel histories of Nigeria and Singapore since independence. On October 1st, 1960, Nigeria celebrated its freedom. The mood was electric. With a diverse population, rich farmlands, and the discovery of oil, the future looked incredibly bright. The country was structured as a federal republic, aiming to balance the power between its major ethnic groups, the Hausa Fulani in the north, the Yoruba in the southwest, and the Igbo in the southeast. But this initial optimism soon faced harsh realities. Ethnic and regional tensions, which had been managed under colonial rule, began to surface and intensify. Political instability became a recurring theme. The First Republic was short-lived, ending in a military coup in 1966. This event triggered a tragic chain reaction, including a counter-coup and horrific ethnic violence, which ultimately led to the devastating Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War. From 1967 to 1970, the war left deep scars on the national psyche and the economy. After the conflict, Nigeria entered a period dominated by military rule, which lasted, with a brief interruption, for nearly 3 decades. The 1970s brought an oil boom, and suddenly Nigeria was flush with cash. It felt like a golden era. The government embarked on massive infrastructure projects. The saying at the time was that Nigeria's problem wasn't a lack of money, but how to spend it. However, this sudden wealth became a double-edged sword. It led to an over-reliance on oil, neglecting other vital sectors like agriculture. Corruption became systemic, with oil revenues often mismanaged or siphoned off. When global oil prices crashed in the 1980s, the Nigerian economy was thrown into a severe crisis, leading to debt, inflation, and widespread hardship. Now, let's switch our focus across the globe to Singapore. In 1965, just 5 years after Nigeria's independence, Singapore was in a state of crisis. After a brief and turbulent merger with Malaysia, it was expelled and forced into independence. Its leader, Lee Kuan Yew, famously wept on television, uncertain if the tiny nation could even survive. Singapore was a small island with a multi-ethnic population, surrounded by larger, sometimes hostile neighbors. It had no natural resources, high unemployment, and poor housing. Its prospects looked bleak. But from this point of desperation, Singapore's leaders forged a different path. Their core philosophy was pragmatism and survival. They knew they had only one resource to rely on: their people. The government implemented a series of bold, long-term strategies. First, they focused on creating a stable, secure, and corruption-free society. They established a strong rule of law with strict penalties for corruption, making the country attractive to foreign investors. Second, they prioritized education, investing heavily in creating a skilled and disciplined workforce. English was established as the common language of business and administration to bridge ethnic divides and connect with the global economy. Third, they embraced globalization. Instead of looking inward, Singapore opened its arms to international trade and multinational corporations, positioning itself as a strategic hub for manufacturing, finance, and logistics in Southeast Asia. This wasn't about ideology, it was about what worked. They created a unique model of state-led capitalism. While Nigeria was navigating the complexities of its oil wealth and political instability, Singapore was meticulously building its economy brick by brick. The government launched a massive public housing program, providing affordable, high-quality homes for its citizens. This not only solved a housing crisis, but also fostered social integration by ensuring different ethnic groups lived side by side. They developed world-class infrastructure, including a port that is now one of the busiest in the world, and an airport that consistently ranks as the best globally. Every policy was geared towards long-term growth and stability. Social cohesion was paramount. The government actively managed ethnic relations, promoting a shared national identity over individual ethnic loyalties. Let's bring the timelines back together. By the 1990s, the contrast between the two nations was stark. While Singapore was being hailed as an Asian tiger economy with one of the highest GDP per capita in the world, Nigeria was grappling with the consequences of prolonged military rule, economic mismanagement, and deep-seated corruption. In 1999, Nigeria finally transitioned back to democracy, a moment of renewed hope. The Fourth Republic has faced immense challenges, tackling corruption, diversifying the economy away from oil, and dealing with security issues. There have been successes. The telecommunications and entertainment sectors, like Nollywood, have boomed, showcasing the incredible talent and entrepreneurial spirit of the Nigerian people. But systemic issues remain a significant hurdle to unlocking the nation's full potential. So, what are the key takeaways from these two divergent stories? It's not about saying one country is better than the other. The contexts are vastly different. Nigeria is a massive, complex federation of over 200 million people and hundreds of ethnic groups. Singapore is a small city-state, but the comparison offers powerful lessons. The first is the critical role of leadership and governance. Singapore's leaders had a clear long-term vision and the political will to execute it, prioritizing national interest over personal gain. They established institutions that were stronger than individuals. In contrast, Nigeria's journey has often been hampered by short-term thinking and institutional weakness. The second lesson is about the resource curse, Nigeria's immense oil wealth, which seemed like a blessing, arguably hindered its development by fostering dependency, corruption, and a neglect of other economic sectors and human capital. Singapore, with no resources, was forced to be innovative, disciplined, and to invest everything in its people. This turned its biggest vulnerability into its greatest strength. Its journey shows that a nation's most valuable resource isn't what's under the ground, but what's in the minds of its citizens. Today, both nations are at a crossroads. Singapore is working to maintain its competitive edge in a rapidly changing world, dealing with an aging population and the pressures of being a global city. Nigeria, with its youthful and dynamic population, has incredible potential. If it can strengthen its institutions, tackle corruption decisively, and truly invest in its human capital, the giant of Africa could still awaken and fulfill its promise. The stories of Nigeria and Singapore are not just history. They are ongoing narratives that teach us profound lessons about nation building, leadership, and the choices that define a country's destiny. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through history. What do you think are the most important factors that shaped these two nations? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this exploration insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our fascinating world. See you in the next video.